Welcome back to the Sheer Meer Show. Today, episode 6, we're going to be talking about movie watching habits. We're following up on our last episode, and we're going to discuss some of the new lighting things and a little bit of AI conversation about new things that have popped up. Enjoy the show. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
What's going on?
what's with the mic? Where the heck did you get that?
Well, I noticed that your sound quality was better in the last episode, and I thought it was because your new mic setup, right? So I had my friend Kyle.
Kyle?
Kyle.
Lyle made this, so you had some guy named Kyle make you that?
Kyle is a friend of my son's. They
Okay.
have a 3D printer at school, and he offered to make me one. Looks good, right?
Was there a reason why you had to go extra big?
I think he made a few mistakes, and it just turned out this long. Is that a problem?
No.
You like it?
No, I mean, it's just kind of big.
Now you have a problem with the mic?
No.
Admittedly, it's a little bigger than I asked him to make, but
Yeah.
it's another experiment of ours. I can see how my voice carries. I think I prefer the little one, to
Do
be
you?
honest.
You prefer the loves?
So far, this
Because
is a little
they're
cumbersome.
easier to, you don't have to think about it. The love, you don't have to think
Right.
about it. This you have to think about.
Maybe when we interview a tall guy, this will be handy.
You know any tall guys?
I'll have to check my Rolodex. Rolodex. Why did I say Rolodex? Anyway,
Yes.
let's move beyond the mics.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
We have ourselves Aperture brand modifiers on the front of these lights. These are the F10 Fresnels. These, I think, are doing the trick for us.
The problem with the last one, it was too big and it was getting in the reflection, right?
It was getting into the reflection of the window, and I did have the grid on there, and I removed the grid, and it certainly brightened up the thing. So we're bouncing the light off of a vaulted ceiling, and it seems to be lighting us up pretty evenly.
Yeah.
We've eliminated all or most of the shadows that were behind us.
So the idea is this light bounces off there and hits me in the face and gives me the right shadow, right?
Exactly. It's hitting this ceiling, but it's also hitting up here, which is bouncing into you. And then this one is bouncing up into here, a little bit there, and hitting me.
And they're mounted on the poles now instead of the
Yeah, mounted
big
on the
cumbersome-
poles.
This is great. I like it now. I really
Yeah?
like this. Because now we can walk around them without having to crawl.
Yeah.
And it seems like we got the right lighting finally.
Now, there's one other thing I could do in the future if I really felt we needed it. Some bounce boards. Some white bounce boards. And there it goes.
Whoa.
Well, first off, I've been talking to my buddy here a lot about the movie Duel. I say movie, but originally it was just on TV, directed by Steven Spielberg. So in our last episode, we talked about it briefly. Last night, we had an opportunity with your son, Dante, to sit down and watch this movie in its entirety, all of us together.
And we wanted to see if it held his attention. That was the
Right, that's right. That was the goal. If it held, your son is how old?
It's going to be 15.
Okay.
He
Well,
actually really liked it.
did he?
Yeah.
And why is he not here right now to talk about it?
Because he's a little camera shy today.
Okay.
Speaking of Duel,
Yeah.
we talked about The Shining and how when you watched it as a kid, it had an emotional kind of reaction to it.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Duel when you saw that one?
I was very intrigued, very interested in wanting to know what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
I never get tired of watching it.
And it holds up. I was really surprised how well it held up.
The original was shorter.
That's what I was going to say, because I remember seeing it on television.
This one is longer because they added scenes. So,
Yeah.
scene with the school bus and the kids,
Yeah, I
That
did
was
not
a-
remember that.
that was an added scene.
I felt like it actually went a little long towards the climactic part.
Oh, really?
Just a little. Uh-oh. I think I struck a nerve.
I just don't get it. He knows I love this movie. Why would he say that?
But it holds up, yeah.
One of the reasons I love the movie, if I didn't say this last time, it's one guy, you're following his journey.
Actually, that's one thing that Dante mentioned to me is that there was no story really, other than get away from the truck.
Well, that's
okay.
the
That's
story.
interesting because when we were watching it, you were commenting on all the compositions and the cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
looking at the characters, which is what I was doing. I was also thinking like Dante, like, where's his character arc? Because there were some hints about some of his backstory, but I don't know if he meant what I perceived, that maybe he was a war veteran or something like that.
Right, because he mentions a part where you're right back in the jungle again.
Yeah, so it almost sounded like he was a Vietnam vet or something, and there was a whole aspect to him that had something to do with cowardice and his wife calling him and being upset because he didn't defend her.
Didn't defend her, yeah.
Yeah, so there was something there that I wish Spielberg would actually elaborate about. I felt like he was trying to tell more of a character story there, but
I'd probably seen this film a number of times, and just when I'm watching it with you guys last night, I picked up on one line that I thought, okay, I'm glad he said that.
Weird place for a telephone booth.
I'd never have picked up on that line before, but last night I did, and I thought, oh, what an odd place for a phone booth.
that seemed like an ad lib, didn't it?
I don't know, but it was so perfect.
Also at the big climactic moment where the truck goes over the cliff, he had 7 or so cameras on, but that was only one camera that he used for the entire
Yeah, the
thing.
slow-mo shot.
So
Yeah.
really, whoever got that shot was kind of the hero of that moment. Spielberg gets all the credit for that, but it's really...
Well, I don't know if he gets all the credit. I mean, he is telling people, line up your shot here, put your I want a shot here, I want a shot here. So he is giving him some form of direction. I did see it behind the scenes, and he did talk about the person operating that camera that, thank goodness, they held on the entire time as the truck is...
Yeah.
Because there's one point where all you see is just a cloud of dust, and thank goodness the camera operator is still...
Stayed with it.
Staying with it. So...
And the tanker reemerges from all that dust. It was really...
And he
pretty
uses
sweet.
the same sound effect that he later used in Jaws as
Another-
the shark is blown up.
It's funny because a lot of the film was actually shot in this area where I live. But he said a lot of the chase scenes, they'd have like so many cameras set up in a mile-long section, and they would shoot it in action, and then when they had to return to do it again, they would use the same footage from the other side of the street
That's right.
to get more mileage out of it. There's a lot of tricks in there for being economical,
So
right?
cool. The way he frames things. You see a car coming down the hill, and all of a sudden it skids out. The camera, I think that was a zoom, pull back, and all of a sudden you're on the opposite side of the truck, but looking underneath it. So well done.
Yeah, it takes a lot of imagination, to do that.
Well, and he frames things in mirrors, and
Definitely
Through windows.
Hitchcock inspired, I would say, right?
for sure.
Hitchcock did a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I noticed a lot of his shots had overlays to give you
Yeah.
depth. I don't think I've realized that about his work before.
Yeah, like looking over the top of the diesel truck, then looking at the car below. It's always a good idea to have something in the foreground that is either your main subject or that is not, and then something in the background to give some sort of depth.
Yeah, there's that one shot. There's a woman in the foreground, and she's putting laundry in this washing machine, and there's the door's round, and it frames him behind it. That one to me felt very, I wouldn't say heavy-handed, but it was very deliberate.
I love it. I love
But
that
like
kind of
I
stuff.
was gonna say, my thinking is like if you're gonna put him in a round frame, that there's probably some psychological reason you might want to do that.
Maybe, yeah. You should always think about the shots that you're doing, but yeah, there could be a reason for that. Absolutely.
Could have just been just composition, an interesting composition.
It could be that. It could be that he was trying to tell us something in a subliminal way. Just also giving us a sense of the environment. Oh, okay, we can see that he's in some sort of a laundromat.
Another thing I didn't recall until we saw it last night was the scene where he was looking at all the different men in the bar and trying to figure out which is the driver of the truck.
So well done.
Because in my head, I always thought that the truck was always like a character in and of itself.
Yeah.
That we never saw any hint of the guy, but there's a little bit more to it in the movie where he's getting some clues. And like you said, like it really puts you in the shoes of the character, right?
Boots.
Because
Yes.
he doesn't recall everything clearly.
Right. Which is what us as the audience, if we're not clearly paying attention and really focusing on the detail of things, we're just like that character.
Yeah.
We're wondering, wait, are those the same boots? Were the boots that color? Were they scratched? Was he wearing dirty jeans, clean jeans? Were they blue jeans? Were they...
Yeah, because there's a shot of the character's feet, like
Yeah, he
20
kicks
minutes before that scene,
He kicks
right?
the tire. You can see it underneath the truck, and you see him kicking the tire with his boots.
I wonder if we did rewind like we were gonna do.
Would we be able to spot who the guy was?
Yeah. Do you think it was that?
We should do that as a test.
Yeah.
We should look back at those boots, and then when we go back to the scene in the diner.
Then you know exactly who it is.
Which one of those? But then again, they all had very similar boots.
So I think those are all good lessons to learn for when we finally do our film. We'll have to keep
Oh, yeah.
all these things in mind.
What draws me to something like Duel, again, is the simplicity.
Yeah.
It's easy for me as an audience member to just focus on this one guy, that one antagonistic bad guy.
Well, speaking of simplicity, I heard that Spielberg say that he didn't want to do it if he couldn't shoot it the way he did. You know, he wanted.
Oh, in the real world.
Yeah, because the production manager was trying to convince him to do it in
process.
In a process way.
In a process way.
I think every movie that uses a process type thing like that, in the driving scene especially, takes you out of it at the moment you realize. So it looks like a screen, and a lot of times it'll cycle and you'll see the same things.
And there's always some sort of a weird bounce.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
And the driver's always doing this with the wheel.
Yeah. Who drives like that?
Right.
You don't sit there and do this with
when
your
you do your
steering
film.
wheel.
That should be
your car would be going like this. I would much prefer not to do green screen. I'd love to keep it in the real world as much as possible. There's a scene in my short film where this character goes into a museum. The size of the buildings are dictated by the reality of my situation, which is there's no way I could build a full-size museum. I can't film in a full-size museum because I wouldn't have the resources to make that happen. So therefore, in this short film, the sizes of the building are going to be small. That will play into the story somehow because the character in my short film, his world feels small. It feels claustrophobic. It feels constrained. And so it kind of makes sense that the structures...
Small like this space?
Yeah, small like this space. Basically, the size of this room, right beyond the lights, is about the size in square feet as the museum would be for my main character to go into. It'd be much taller, much taller, but this would be about the square footage.
Which is about 11 feet square, I think.
I found myself actually looking at small roadside chapels that are around America.
That you can shoot in?
No, you can't shoot in them, but they're actual chapels. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool. So I started looking at a bunch of chapels for ideas just on how they structure the space. I prefer the realness of an actual structure that an actor can interact with and walk into and touch and look, and that the light would bounce off of and reflect in a normal, realistic way. Some people would prefer to do it all green screen.
And I want to try a film that's using as many tools as an experiment, because now AI is becoming such a big force. I want to learn how to work with it, right?
Yeah.
Like if we did my dad's story, it would be kind of set in World War II. And I'd want to go back in time. And another idea is fantasy locations. So
that would be a perfect tool to use for your dad's story.
Yeah.
We could use AI to create stuff that goes on the wall.
Yeah.
The only problem...
expand the space, right?
Yeah. So if we wanted to replace this window, for example, with something AI generated, we wouldn't be able to do this in this show right now. This is our point at which we can't interact with beyond this little space right here. As soon as you move your hand into it, all of a sudden the gag is lost. Now, green screen is different because if you were to put green screen here, then you can put any image you want and we can interact with it.
Yeah.
Meaning in front of it. Let's say right now we want to replace that window. We want that to be a bookshelf. Once we're done with this video, we select this section right here and we say, make it a bookshelf. And whatever, it generates some cheesy looking bookshelf. Boom, cool. Now we got a bookshelf there, not a window. Great, it'll work. As long as you and I in this video right now are not moving our hands into that space. So you have to have a line that says you cannot cross that line.
I kind of understand that, but at the same time, it seems like, because that's like a masking thing, right? Like,
yes.
But it just seems like somehow I don't know how to do this.
Unless you're doing green screen. Or
it seems like masking is way more sophisticated now than it was. Like, even, the ability to take a photograph and make a sticker out of it on your iPhone.
Yes.
But It seems much better at masking than ever. I don't know what's changed.
I think Final Cut does have the ability now to do that, where it can mask it out. It's not necessarily the cleanest when you're doing it with this quick little auto feature.
That's the thing. Whenever I try it, it never looks good. But when I see videos demoing it, I'm like, man,
Because
it
they,
makes-
they spend time refining it.
it does seem like a lot of things are possible now that were impossible.
Then you have to fine tune the lighting, because whatever background you throw isn't going to match the lighting of. That is why I would much rather build a set, light it up. Actors can interact with the space. They can touch the wall. They can actually walk up to the painting. It just makes it more real, because it is real.
I think we've
That
run
was
out of
very-
battery soon.
Yeah, space.
Yes.
Cheers.